Well, welcome back, baseball fans, to a playoff preview and awards video for the 1970-73 Carryover League. We have concluded the regular season, the All-Star game, and the postseason, and the playoffs are ready to go. First thing we'll do is we'll look at our playoff field by divisional record. Starting the American League East, the Red Sox win the division, are the number 2 seed. The Toronto Blue Jays win the Commissioner Award, denoted here for roster participation. They will get an extra draft pick in next year's draft, as they used their pitchers and their hitters more than any other team, spreading out the number of appearances for those players. The team who does it most efficiently gets an extra draft pick, which is the 33rd pick in the draft next year between the first and second round. So that's a nice consolation prize for a Toronto team that finished at 500. Cleveland survives in the North, outlasting the Tigers, a game over 500 at the 4 seed. It is the Midwest who did the biggest moves in the postseason. They all were about a game over 500, but then the White Sox and the Twins and the Brewers, they all had some heavy lifting in the third round of the postseason. And this division is now 5-9, 13 over 500, minus the Royals who failed. But this gap over 500 is very impressive for the Midwest. 3 of the 6 playoff teams in a surprising American League field, and the A's are your number 1 seed in the American League. Again, the American League is 11 under 500 in interleague play. National League start at the top. Best team in baseball, New York Mets, 23-9, a half game better than the Reds, and also own the head-to-head tiebreaker against the Reds. Those are your 2. That's the top teams in all of baseball, and they get their byes. Braves managed to rally at the end of the year and get back into the wild card hunt and get the number 6 seed. In the Mountain Division, only one team, as usual, goes to the playoffs, and it's Vegas. Same as last year, just a couple games over 500. And the big move out west, the Astros caught them. They caught the Dodgers. Both teams 6 over 500, but the Astros, we know, have head-to-head. They beat them in 2 separate best-of-7 series, 4 games to 1 and 4 games to 3. So they win the tiebreaker, and the Dodgers came out. They are a front runner. They came out with the best record in baseball in April and May, and then as soon as the Giants and the Astros, and then later on the Mets appeared on their schedule, they faded into wild card. So with that, let's go to a look at the postseason schedule. In the wild card round, the number 5 Twins will face the number 4 Cleveland Indians. The number 5 Dodgers will face the number 4 Las Vegas team. Then the number 6 Braves will face the number 3 Astros. And the number 6 Brewers will face the number 3 White Sox. These are all best of 5s in the 2-2-1 format, to give a little bit, well, it's the standard 2-2-1 format. And then in the divisional round, the teams with byes, number 1 Oakland, number 2 Boston, number 1 New York, number 2 Cincinnati. That format plays 2-2-1-1-1, meaning that your highly seeded teams are home for Game 5, just like in the NBA. That's done to give the bye teams an advantage. And that's your 12 teams left going for the playoff gold. Now let's take a look at the individual awards and some stats. We'll go take a peek at the American League overall. This is the overall, actually this is all of baseball's batting average. Oh my gosh, folks. New York Mets hit 300. That's not going to go. That's not going to work for the rest of baseball. We can't be having the New York Mets hitting 300, or I don't know, there's not much point playing this. Not with that pitching staff. So the Mets hit 300. Out hitting the Braves, but look at the homers the Braves hit, 67. So yeah, 4.39 ERA, a run worse than the Mets. So these are their top 2 teams in the National League East. Sorry, we know Arizona is built around batting average, and that's where they are, but they're not built around pitching or stolen bases or anything else. Here's your Dodgers, always a good team for batting average and ERA. They're like the poor man's version of the New York Mets. Almost the little brother, not quite as good as the Mets, but close. Look at the Pirates' batting average, and their pitching wasn't that bad. They were just snake bit. Here are your Reds hitting 280, 46 homers, 391 ERA. I'm not overly concerned how great or bad the Reds numbers are. I mean, a lot of times they're blowing teams out and they rest players. So Red Sox are still doing it, 43 home runs. But unsightly 4.51 ERA. That's not good for the Sox. They had a good pitching staff last year. The coasting A's, they should be called, because they had a lousy, easy schedule. They did pick it up their pace at the end, hit 273 with a 391 ERA. Giants missed the playoffs. Here's your expansion Vegas team. This is quality work here for batting average and ERA for Vegas. With just 24 home runs and 7 stolen bases. But they're in a division with 3 wildcard teams, so as soon as they play stiffer competition, we expect them to fail. Cardinals did their best to hang in there with the Reds and Pirates. Angels were division winner last year. This year, not so much. And then we'll just skip down to the bottom and see the dregs. The Expos at 229. The Seattle Mariners only had 18 home runs. They might not have the fewest, though. I think Portland. Where's Portland? Oh, no, Portland had 21. They rallied at the end with some homers. The Phillies hit only 18 home runs with all those sluggers, with Cepeda and with Darren Johnson and Luzinski. Only 18 dingers down there. Twins at 50 home runs. That's a good sign. The fastest teams here, we have the Astros, 32 stolen bases. No shocker there. The Rangers added some speed this year. They added Toby Harrah and Dave Nelson, joining Merv Retman, helping them steal some bases. Portland's expansion team, all they can do is run. The Angels have Mickey Rivers and some other guys there. The Cardinals with Lou Brock, where are they at again? 23. It wasn't a big year for stolen bases because the catcher's arms were better. Bullpen work. We have to. We'll get to the bullpen awards as fireman awards. Let's scroll over now to your earned run average, and look who's at the top. The White Sox. A lot of that is simply because Wilbur Wood pitches 1,000,000 innings and pitches well. So Wilbur Wood is to come to the rescue for the White Sox. But basically, Stan Bonson, Tom Bradley also pitched well. And look at the Brewers. What are they doing up here? They're both in the playoffs this year. Good pitching staffs go to the playoffs. That's a playoff team. That's a playoff team. They're in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs. Seattle had some good pitching, but no offense. This is not a Kingdom team. This is 1970. They don't exist. We assume they're playing outdoors. So that, yeah, they're not getting any home runs. Kansas City could not hit, and that killed this good pitching. Ohio, they were balanced, but didn't win a lot. St. Louis. Who could not pitch? Who was bad pitching? Oh, the Padres. The only team with an ERA over 5. And of course the Cubs and Red Sox, predictably, and the Braves. These are all predictable high ERA squads. If only the Braves and the Red Sox. And then last year the Red Sox had a great pitching staff, but this year it fell apart again. All right, let's look at some individual awards. We're going to go to MVP first in the National League. And if there was a singular MVP, like in the NFL, it would be the same guy. Hank Aaron is your MVP with a 71 card. The Braves made the playoffs largely because he carried them on their back with 24 homers, 51 RBI. Hank was third in MVP voting with a 71 card behind Willie Stargell and Joe Torre. Some other honorable mentions, of course, you have to go with Tony Perez. 15 and 36, that's still 9 homers short of Aaron. Again, the Reds and the Braves. The Reds have a much more talented team than the Braves. In fact, when you factor pitching in. So, and again, Johnny Bench also cancels Tony Perez out to a certain extent there. Billy Williams on the last place team at 382 to lead the National League in hitting. Great year, and he'll have his 72 card in play next year. Guys like, look at Atlanta. Guys like Maury Wills at 361, Felix Millan at 344, Rico Cardi at 342. My goodness, Atlanta. Some other stolen base leaders. I think we're going to find Mr. Brock with 23 to lead all of the National League. Bill Sedakis helped the Cardinals with 12 homers. Willie McCovey had a solid year, 10 homer and 35 RBI and a 295 batting average. Were there any really disappointing hitters in the National League. We can scroll down by batting average and find that out. And it would be these guys down here in 133 at-bats. Phillips, Rodriguez, Dave Kingman, Cedeno. Now, he has a chance to redeem himself. He's in the playoffs. Cesar Cedeno. Astros won the West, not because of Cesar, maybe because of his glove. He's a 1 with a -3 arm in center field. But he has an opportunity in the postseason to bring these numbers up and help the Astros get to a World Series. Again, Darren Johnson, that's Philadelphia had a bad year. Gary Matthews' rookie card did not do very well. That's your National League MVP. Let's go to the Cy Young, and then we'll do the other awards. The National League Cy Young is at the top. It is Don Sutton with a $1.47 ERA and a 7-4 record where the Dodgers were shut out in like 3 of these 4 losses. They didn't score a run for him. 104 innings. You might lead. You got Larry Dierker with 103. Dierker really came on strong in the postseason tournament. Lowered his ERA down to 306 with 9 wins. But we weren't going to let that exceed Sutton. Gibson had a nice year. Matlack again was the Mets' best pitcher 2 years in a row, better than Seaver and Kuzman. Woody Fryman has a nice card. He was undefeated for a long time. Gary Nolan gets credit for anchoring the Reds over Don Gullett. Some good starting pitching there. As far as the failing starting pitching at the bottom of this list, well, that's not fair. Larry Gurr had a ERA of 10.38 as a number 3 starter. Didn't have enough innings. The innings cuts off at 42, I believe. Yeah, right here. Wayne Simpson had the worst ERA among qualifiers. 42 innings is the qualification. 6.43 ERA. And then you get into your number 3 and 4 starters. I'll announce a fireman. The Rolaids Fireman of the Year in the National League was given to Dave Justy because he was also Pittsburgh's All-Star and arguably the best player. 3 wins on a disappointing Pittsburgh team with 7 saves. Gets the award over Mel Queen because Queen had a ERA a run worse and only won 1 game. So we gave it to Justy in that case. Before we go to the American League, we also have to award the Rookies of the Year, which was a tie in the National League. We had Al Raboski with his 1973 card. To get Rookie of the Year, it has to be the last year, or the newest year, 1973, and the first time he's in the carryover league. So this was the first Al Raboski appearance in the league, and he was awesome for St. Louis and helped that team get really close to the playoffs. 8 saves and 53-cent ERA, but he finishes in a tie, interestingly, because we couldn't figure out how to break the tie, with a hitter. And the hitter was Dave Roberts, the infielder of the Padres. 290 as a second baseman with 8 homer and 18 RBI, 4 stolen bases for a team that would get knocked out. But a lot of punch. This card of 1973 hits 21 home runs. So this is going to be a good card for the Padres for the next 4 years. Those are your National League awards, and now we'll go to the American League awards, starting with Most Valuable Player. And in somewhat of a surprise, it was hard to pick an MVP, but we gave it to Harmon Killebrew. He actually was Major League Baseball's 1969 American League MVP. His 1970 card gets the MVP. You'll see his teammate Oliva's right next to him there. But the RBI would lead the American League. There were some more home runs by Mike Epstein and Frank Howard, and this guy, Jim Brazil, the Toronto Blue Jays. But Killebrew was more well-rounded, and his team advanced and surged in the postseason, and he was a big reason why. So Killebrew gets the MVP. Some other honorable mentions at the top. We have to go to George Scott, had a nice year with the Brewers. Another twin teammate, Rod Carew, led the league in hitting. Aparicio was great for the Chi Sox. Gene Tennis piloted Oakland, but it's hard to give him the MVP over, say, Reggie. And there's Reggie right next to him, who had 7 homers and 8 steals. Yastrzemski was also given a consideration because he had 9 homer, 33 and 7 steals, but his batting average was 30 points lower than his card would suggest. Your American League Rookie of the Year is Jim Holt's first appearance for the Twins in '73. He was eligible to be in the league as far back as 1970, but he didn't. He stayed out of the league because he wasn't performing well. Finally gets into it with a '73 card, so that gives him his Rookie of the Year in the American League. So in the American League, we just have Cy Young and Fireman. We could also take a peek at some of the players who let everybody down in the American League. Guys down by the Mendoza line. Terry Crowley, 144. That was terrible. Brinkman for Detroit. He did not help the Tigers that we thought we would. Yeah, some other guys here. Mike Brown on that list. But so let's get down to the pitching, and there's some great pitching in the American League, but only one guy can win the Cy Young. And we go to the pitching down here. Catfish Hunter led the league in ERA, tied with 8 wins, but we gave the Cy Young to Wilbur Wood because he pitched 127 innings and went into extra innings 2 or 3 times. And the White Sox had their best year and the number 3 seed. And we kind of felt that Oakland sort of coasted and had an easy schedule. And also that Vita Blue was just as good as Catfish Hunter, except his ERA was a little bit higher because he got knocked out of one of his starts. But consistency and basically you could have given Wilbur Wood most valuable player votes too. That's how important he was to the White Sox, him and Dick Allen. You see Doyle Alexander, remember that Toronto team was really impressive. And Doyle was. Bill Parsons did a great job for the Brewers. They're in the playoffs. A very young Dave Goltz helped the Twins down the stretch. Gaylord Perry, 113 innings for the Indians, but only 7 and 6. And lost some critical games, but they still managed to squeak out the division. Here's Vita Blue, 8 and 2. The 3.28 ERA is just strange because one of his starts gave up like 6 or 7 runs and it blew up his ERA. Almost 100 innings. Jim Palmer's around here somewhere. He was 8-0 and then he really faded. There's Colburn with 100 innings but a losing record. Can't find Palmer anymore with his 8 wins. Oh, there he is. ERA of 4. He was in the All-Star game with an ERA around 2.5. And he faded and lost his last 2 of his last 3 games. So you have to do the Fireman of the Year. There's a nice competition for that. As we start to look at some of the pitchers who failed a lot, Jim McAndrew didn't help the Yankees much. Here's some Toronto reliever setup guys. Here's Dick Ellsworth and Hennigan helping. This is the Commissioner Award. Guys who got a lot of participation. Look at that. They almost were like starting pitchers when you look at the stars up here. 251 and 169 for Ellsworth and Hennigan, and they both set up this guy, Joe Grisenda, with his 11 saves and a .146 ERA. But we have to give Fireman of the Year to Milwaukee's closer, Ken Sanders, because Milwaukee beat Toronto in the regular season and in the postseason tournament. So we're giving Sanders the award narrowly over Joe Grisenda. And good for the Brewers to get. Sanders was the lone All-Star on a last-place team for 3 years, and now he gets to get into the playoffs. So that could be scary if the Brewers, do some exciting stuff. And as far as this goes, looks like every pitcher pitched at least 12 2/3 innings in the American League. We're looking for, we want every pitcher to pitch at least 10 innings and every hitter to get at least 30 at-bats in this schedule, because we don't play a full Major League season, of course. And we got those numbers. As far as at-bats, Cincinnati's backup catcher to Johnny Bench got 39 at-bats. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a Reds team that was winning by handsome margins, winning comfortably, so they could let a reserve player get this number of plate appearances. Same with these 2 Pirate players who weren't very good. And John Vukovic's 166 card. So these are arguably the 4 worst cards in the National League, and they still got a lot of plate appearances. American League, Motton could only hit lefties. Norm Miller, and we're all in 50 at-bats here, so we're getting some participation. with these American League hitters. So that is it for the playoff preview and the awards. And we will begin the wild card series. The first one we will do is the American League wild card, featuring the Minnesota Twins and Cleveland Indians. That'll be the next broadcast. Thanks for checking this stuff out, folks. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.